up, guys? Arctic here, joined by my co-host, Skyllus.
How's it going?
We are giving you guys episode number 6 of Frag Logic. Today we are talking about a number of things. I was at South by Southwest Gaming Expo this past weekend. We'll be talking about that. Skyless whipped the weapons discussion on me, design discussion, so that should be interesting.
Yeah.
And let me see. We have some gears, judgment, and the community topic, the role of beta testers. Now, I'm going to end this show today with some requests. You guys can tweet at me and Skyless, either or, for the next community topic that we'll vote on. But because I was gone, I couldn't put up a new poll. So that's kind of how it works when you go to these gaming conventions. So getting right to South by Southwest, Skylas, I asked you if you were going to go. You told me you were going to go.
And then I looked at Austin Public Transportation a little bit more closely. And it's really bad.
You bailed on me.
Yeah, it would have been like 2 hours to move like 30 minutes. I live in North Austin, and the convention's South Austin. And yeah, it would have been like a 2-hour trip and then 2 hours back. I always said, fuck that.
Bailed on me, dude.
Yeah. How was it, though?
You didn't miss a whole lot. There wasn't.
I knew I was. Like, realistically, I was going to watch a 45-minute Gears panel, you know?
Right. So, I mean, and they didn't really talk about anything that we hadn't already seen or knew too much. But for me personally, I was there working the loadout booth. A lot of you guys know I'm the community manager for Loadout, Edge of Reality. So we have a couple things planned. Well, more than a couple. We have quite a few events planned that we'll be going to, and South by Southwest was the start of what will be basically a snowball of events. We're showing off our free-to-play third-person shooter. I'm sure you guys have probably seen some videos on my YouTube channel of Loadout. We had a lot of basically PR guys. I mean, I think it was IGN, GameSpot might have been there. A couple other places that Polygon that you guys might be familiar with. They were all in attendance. IPL was there. That was their last hurrah. So I don't know if you consider. I didn't even see the numbers. I don't know if they posted them or anything. They went out with a bang or anything like that. You had a number of panels speaking. Obviously, Epic Games was there. We spoke on the panel. XI3, which is the company I'm going to talk about first, was there. And they were talking about the Piston, which is basically the Steam box. According to some of the people that I've talked to, I don't know if it was ever confirmed that those Steam and XI3 were working together on a Steam box or whatever.
Valve had invested some money to help them continue developing. I believe that much was confirmed.
Okay.
But they never publicly said that it was the quote-unquote Steam box.
Steam box.
And they've never really supported that idea. There's lots of unofficial boxes that are building as the Steam box, which is really just running Steam in big picture mode, which they released last year, which is basically a console-ified version of the Steam interface.
Okay. So when I went there, I hadn't heard anything really about, vague, Steam is coming out with a system. I hadn't seen anything. I hadn't seen the Piston. Hadn't heard about it. I guess it got unveiled at CES this past year, and so I didn't even see the pictures. And so when I actually saw it up close and personal, they have like two models. They have like this one that looks like a wafer, like a big huge wafer bar, maybe a couple stacks, like 2 stacks of wafers.
What kind of wafers?
Have another one, yeah, vanilla wafers.
Okay.
Then they have another one that looks like a Rubik's Cube, and that's pretty much what the Piston looks like. It is literally the size of a Rubik's Cube, and they were showing off a number of games that they could play with it. They were also kind of touting it as a multimedia device, so they had a number of things like, let me see, they had music, they had iTunes, I think they had Netflix. They had different inputs and outputs you could switch from, and all of this got unveiled during this presentation. And so, after kind of looking at it, I was like, man, this thing's pretty damn cool for the size. However, I don't feel like it was something for me. And the price point, which you touched on when we were talking about it, is just like way too high for something where I would want, a custom built computer.
Right. It's $1,000.
$1,000.
Yeah.
And if you had a promo code for South by Southwest, they were giving $100 off. So I was still looking at it like I'm still going to be paying $1,000.
Yeah, you're essentially paying $1,000 for about $700 worth of PC parts.
Yeah,
maybe less.
Maybe less.
Yeah.
And not only that, the modular board that they have specifically fits into that. So even if you were like, oh, I'm going to buy some pieces and parts to put into this.
I'm going to buy some pizzas to put into my console.
I'm going to buy some pieces and parts to put into my piston. It's like you got to wait for them to come out with new boards for this. So that was a part that kind of turned me off to the whole thing. And the guy that was up there talking, they had an hour slotted. He gave a 20-minute presentation, like in there, out there. He was an older dude. And when he said that, when he was talking about the modular system, you could kind of hear people in there like, ah. And then he was like, but don't worry, we're going to have stuff. We're going to have our own boards that are coming out. So for you guys that want to, swap out outdated products, you guys can do that.
But you still need like specialized parts that fit the...
Exactly.
Because obviously it's really small. It's like...
It's a Rubik's Cube.
Yeah. So you have to get specialized parts. And it kind of defeats the purpose of having a console that's updatable when you need parts from the manufacturer, which are going to be more expensive than just building your own computer.
Yeah.
Even if it means building a computer that's somewhat small and just tucking it away in a closet or something next to your TV. I don't know.
That was the coolest thing there for me personally, was seeing it like that size and like showing off all the stuff. But it's just not something for me. I think some people there were interested. They also had Nintendo Wii. The Wii U was there. They had a bunch of little kiosks that you could play at. Similar, we've gone to some of these conventions. And when I say that booth was filled with little kids, like literally like 3, 4, 5-year-olds, like that is all I saw.
It's probably the only type of thing which supports that age group at South by Southwest.
It doesn't, but parents think that, right. I'm going to take my kid over to Nintendo. And, like, you look at can kids even hold the Wii U? Like, if you're 3, can you, like, logistically...
Oh, yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Like, this is kind of bigger than their hands.
Yeah.
So, I was kind of like, I was kind of chuckling to myself to see some of those kids over there. And then a few of them kind of like, there wasn't much to play at this.
It wasn't technically a gaming expo,
It
right?
wasn't a gaming expo.
Interactive.
Yeah. But, internally it's called the Gaming Expo. So technically it's South by Southwest Interactive. And, there wasn't too many games. Hawken was behind us. I've already played Hawken. I think a lot of people that probably play PC that were interested in mech games have probably played Hawken. Yeah. So I wasn't too interested in playing that. I did hop over in the Wii U stuff a little bit, just kind of looking around, played with a couple things, and it's just not for me. Like, we're probably going to save a discussion for the Wii U, but...
I haven't even touched
I'm not digging it.
Yeah.
Not digging it. And if you bought a Wii, we got suckered.
I didn't buy a Wii either, so yeah.
We got suckered. I didn't buy a Wii, but Christy has one, so I can include us in the Wii.
We also played it at the LAN Center, yeah.
Right. Well, we played at the LAN Center, yes, exactly. So we know. I played the Ouya, which is...
You mean Ouya?
No, the Ouya. The Ouya. So for you guys that don't know, the Ouya is a Kickstarter-backed Android-based system. Was hot shit when it first got announced. I still think it's going to be pretty popular. Again, the size of a freaking Rubik's Cube. This thing is, I think it was smaller than the Piston or equivalent size. Again, it's all Android-based. I think all the games are supposed to be free to play. Although this is what I said. I was talking to one of the developers there. They were right across from us, 2 cool dudes. I said, so this game is free to play, right? And he goes, yeah, all the games are supposed to be free to play. And I was like, are you sure about that? I was like, I thought that they're supposed to have a free version available.
Yeah, that was my understanding. Was there's supposed to be like a demo, kind of like how Xbox Live Arcade is technically all free to play.
Right. So
Free to try. Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it.
I my jury's out on that. I think that the system concept itself is cool. Obviously, being a Kickstarter project is really awesome because they got just a ton of financial support for that.
Yeah.
And if you pre-order, I think now you can get it in June. But for those that backed it, they get theirs this month. So
developers have already gotten theirs, I believe.
Yeah, developers have already gotten theirs. Hence, why the guy happened to have some on hand. And his game was similar to Galaga.
Look at our new console. It's so good. It can make games from 20 years ago.
The graphics on it looked pretty nice.
Okay.
It's in HD.
Okay.
That's about it. You had more. You could also, with the controller, which, by the way, it felt like they needed to work on their controls a little bit. I'm not even going to name the game because I don't want anyone to think that it's going to be a bad game or anything like that.
Right.
But it still felt like it was very much a work in progress. And like the buttons that you had each had an ability, unlike Galaga, where you just shoot, one pew pew
Right.
pew pew. You know how it does.
Yeah, it's
And
a gun.
that exact noise. That's exactly how it sounds. It's like pew pew.
Yeah.
And so they had like special moves. So each button was assigned to a move, and the Ouya controller actually doesn't feel too bad.
It's basically like an Xbox controller, right?
It's very similar to an Xbox
Or an
controller.
off-brand Mad Catz type Xbox controller.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, because it kind of has that transparent look like an ugly ass Mad Catz controller.
Yeah.
But the layout is very similar to the Xbox controller. The only difference is like the handles, the two handles that you hold on the Xbox controller.
Right.
Those are kind of curved at the end, and these are more like longer, like a rectangular type look. So I mean, you're holding more of the actual, I guess I want to call them legs, sticks of the controller. I don't know what to call them.
Contour as well, or
yeah.
contour. That's not even a word. Whatever.
So that was the cool thing, I guess. For me, the best thing at the show was actually being able to play the Ouya, before a lot of other people. So that was probably the highlight. And then talk about IPL. They had.
I saw their stage. It looked pretty nice.
The stage was awesome.
Yeah.
Absolutely mind blowing, awesome, and that's probably why they're out of business right now.
I mean, yeah, they already had all that stuff from all their events they've shown. Yeah, and they're not out of business; they're for sale.
I had to do that. I had to just do that. Okay, anyway, so
I don't think IGN's going out of business anytime soon.
Well, it's IPL. I mean, it's a separate entity.
Right, but it's IGN's money.
So they had, I think, StarCraft 2 first day, Friday. To be honest, I didn't see anyone watching StarCraft 2, and I was there from start to finish. I didn't see very many people watching StarCraft 2.
Which is weird because we have a pretty big StarCraft scene in Austin at UT.
Exactly. So I was really surprised by that. Maybe they had, they like to do barcraft, so that could have been what they were doing. Although they were serving drinks at this convention, like you could get a beer.
Yeah.
So I was really surprised there weren't more people there.
You can get a beer at 4 times the same cost. Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing was World of Tanks. Again, nobody was watching. No, nobody was watching.
I was trying so hard to find viewer numbers for World of Tanks this weekend because there was not only the IGN thing, but there was also Intel Extreme Masters World Championships was this weekend, and they had World of Tanks. Unfortunately, I only caught the replay, and there was just a few thousand people sitting there, just waiting for the replay to kick up again.
Let me just say that once again, we talked about this. Was it week 2? One of the most boring games I have ever watched in my life, hands down.
Esports.
But they are doing their damn thing. War Gaming.
Yeah.
They brought their Hummer there. I saw it for the first time. I don't think they had it at the other. What did we go to? Was it PAX East and PAX
It's
Prime?
brand new. It's brand new.
Okay. So I saw the Hummer. It's decked out. It's pretty awesome looking. I was impressed by that, but gameplay wise, I can't watch it. I can't watch it. Now, here's the granddaddy, League of Legends. I'm talking about, listen, there were more people at the League of Legends just area once the game was announced. There's people sitting down. All the seats were filled. There's people standing behind. I don't know where they came from, but it was so packed. You could not move when League of Legends got announced. Like, people just came out of nowhere just to sit down and watch. I was seriously, I'm not joking. Like
They're
everyone,
all they're all hoping for skin codes.
I was just like, where are all these people coming from? Uh, and they probably had 300 seats, all filled. People standing in back, maybe like 4 or 5 rows of people stacked. Then you had in each aisle, which there were 4 aisles. It was like you could barely move. I had to go to the bathroom one time during this, and so like I'm sitting there like weaving in and out of people. They had on the very far side, they had the cosplayers who came on stage after that. They were over there taking pictures. So I mean, it was just packed everywhere.
Do you know who was even playing? Like, I get the
No,
impression it wasn't like a major
it wasn't.
event.
I don't even know who the team names were. They didn't have on uniforms. Uh, I don't know. It was packed, dude. Like I was blown away. Like the League of Legends is legit. I don't care what you say. Like they could go. I'm convinced they could go to like Podunk somewhere. Some MLG says, "Hey, we're gonna have an event, League of Legends, and what's Montana." Like 3,000 people show up to watch a league. They don't watch anything else. They'll show up to watch a league, and I'm like, what? I was blown away, dude. Blown away. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. Like they had some other stuff there. They had LANFest. We load out on like 80 computers at LANFest. I think that's what it was.
New Egg Land Fest.
I think that's what was there. LANFest or Land. I thought it was called LANFest. I'm pretty sure it was called LANFest. So they had 80 stations. We got some loadout on those, and then over in that area, it was really weird walking over there. I got to tell this story real quick. So you walk down our aisle, you make a left. There's Wargaming's Hummer, and then like IGN has like this weird station. They're probably doing press there. You go past that, and then it turns into like weird ass tech people, and then like LANFest is behind all this. So there was like something interactive, and they were like demoing something, but they had Section 8 Prejudice on one screen playing, but they weren't like remotely gaming related. Really weird.
Did that come out ages ago?
Yeah.
It's really old, right?
They were demoing something with that.
Makes me wonder if it was like, hey, does anyone in the studio know
They had this old
anyone
60,
who likes video games?
It was a 60-year-old lady.
Yep.
She had to be 50, 60s.
It was probably her nephew's game.
I don't know what it was, but I was like, this is just weird. So then you make a left, and then there's the opening for the LANFest area, and obviously smells are like atrocious by that area. So like I just went back there, took some pictures, talked with a few people, hurried up and got my ass back out of there. You walk back down the opposite aisle, so you're now on the right, but facing the opposite direction, and there's this spacecraft thingy. It was like web spacecraft, and they were like doing presentations for it. So like they were talking about a spacecraft at this place, and I was just like, whoa. It was like some Asian lady giving presentations on it. Just crazy stuff.
Which is where like what I was saying earlier about not really being a gaming expo as much as like the interactive tag is really just anything that doesn't fit in the other stuff that South by Southwest does.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You keep walking, and then right smack dab in the middle of these two aisles is a book hotspot.
So it's like a reading lounge?
But it was called the book hotspot.
In the middle of South by Southwest? Just where you want to get some reading in?
They had 4 lazy boys, one big couch, coffee table, and thousands of books with bookshelves like you were in a library almost. And there was people sitting down reading. And I was like...
In the middle of a loud, bustling convention. Yeah.
Yes. South by Southwest Interactive Hotspot Reading.
Oh, man.
So...
That's very much like... That's Austin.
Yeah. I was just like, okay, this is really weird. I don't know how people are sitting here reading books in an interactive environment, but this is weird as fuck. I'm gonna keep walking. And then you got the geek panel, and that was like it. And then we saw a bunch of people on presentation talk about XI3. Then we had Gears of War. Peter Nepley actually came over to our booth. Cliff Blazinski came over, and Lauren Blazinski came over to our booth, played Loadout. Pete came over right before his presentation for the panel for Gears of War Judgment, and I went over and talked with him a little bit when he came to our booth, so I kind of just talked with him there. We talked about Loadout, talked about the Gears of War panel, talked about a couple other things, and then I went and watched the Gears panel for about 20 minutes. Most of the stuff was just rehashed stuff that I'd already known. The only really cool thing was the Gears Reaper. We're gonna talk about that stuff here in the later in the show, but that was pretty cool. So that's pretty much it, man. That was my experience. I mean, I had a couple interesting incidents that I can't really talk about. We had some kids spill soda. I'm gonna just say that. I'm gonna just say they spilled soda
on the razor blades.
No, it wasn't on the razor blades.
Crisis averted.
They just spilled soda on equipment, and nothing malfunctioned.
If they had done it on the razor blade, that would have been
just spilled soda. We walk away, and then after that, like Ty almost had a heart attack, and he said he wanted to kill the kids. And I literally walked away for 5 minutes. I came back, and he's like freaking out. And so that was probably the worst scare of everything. Was the spilled soda. Other than that, it was fantastic. Can't complain. Wish you were there. Had to ditch me like that, man.
Yeah. Austin needs to step up their transportation game.
That's messed up.
Having a rail that doesn't go all the way downtown.
It's messed
or
up.
It doesn't go south.
It's messed up.
Yep.
It's not complete.
None of it's complete. I mean, yeah.
All right, so next topic we got up is Collins. I'm gonna let you take all of this, and I'm just gonna add my little.
Just gonna nod in agreement over there.
I'm gonna have a couple things because I think there's a couple things I kind of disagree with overall. But
okay.
Yeah, I'm not in 100% agreement with this one.
All right, so I brought this up a few times, both when talking to you and talking to people about video games, and even most recently went to Twitter with it. What happened to guns in shooting games that now all we get are machine guns and rehashes of machine guns? What happened?
What do you mean? They design them better.
Obviously, there's Call of Duty. There's games that are military shooters, and you kind of expect those to have machine guns. Like, I get that. It's a simulation of, real life, whatever. But I'm going to go ahead and pick on Halo because I think it's a good example of how this is kind of taken over. Halo has guns. Halo 4, I'm going to talk about, has guns from 3 different factions. In the multiplayer, there's the Covenant weapons, the Forerunner weapons, and the UNSC weapons. I would expect the UNSC weapons to be machine guns and carbines and snipers and shotguns and rocket launcher stuff we have in real life. It is. But then you look at the Forerunner stuff, which is brand new.
High tech.
The suppressor. Suppressor is an SMG. The light rifle is a battle rifle / DMR, depending on if you zoom in. The bolt shot is just a pistol with a shotgun attachment. Covenant, the Covenant carbine is just a carbine. The plasma rifle is just a machine gun that shoots plasma bolts. You see the trend? You see the trend?
What's wrong with
and all of these guns, like, they all shoot the same. It's you point at the target and you either hold down the trigger for machine gun, or you mash the trigger as fast as you can for a carbine, or you hold it down and let it go, I guess, for the bolt shot. That's the extent of it. Compare this to the games that kind of started off the shooter franchise, or the shooter genre, which would be Unreal, Quake,
Doom.
I think Wolfenstein might be a bad example.
Yeah, it would be a very good example. Counter-Strike also isn't a good example for you.
Right. So, I mean, there's some games, obviously, that were going to be military shooters that use guns, but the primary ones were Quake, Doom, and Unreal that kicked off the FPS franchise. Unreal Tournament. Those guns. The rocket launcher in Unreal Gold, Unreal 99, had 3 different firing modes. You could fire the rockets, you could hold it, and it would fire like a line of rockets, and then you could do the right click, and it fired off like these little grenade things, right, that bounced on the ground. So just the rocket launcher itself had all these different options, and then you had the shock rifle, obviously, which is probably one of the coolest weapons I think from any shooter.
I agree.
So you fire like this big shock ball. For those who haven't played Unreal, and what the fuck were you doing? You fire this shock ball, and then it flies around. You can either hit people with the shock ball, it does damage, or you can use your primary attack, which is just kind of like a snipe beam to detonate it, and it makes a big explosion. So there's all these different plays where you like fire the shock ball ahead and then wait for the person to come and then detonate, or you get them in midair. You know, crazy stuff. It's fucking awesome.
Right.
So that's amazing. The Ripjack, the Ripper, was a gun that fired blades that bounced off walls. I think the secondary was charged, wasn't it? I think it was.
Not a charge or explosion. It had knockback.
Right. And you can get headshots with that, so it would just like cut people's heads off. And then there was obviously they had a sniper, did normal stuff. The
Black
bio rifle.
Bio rifle, yeah.
You the primary, you just fire these little blobs that go in an arch, and then the secondary you charge up, and it'd be a big blob, and it would just sit on the ground as a kind of mine. Then you had the flat cannon, which was this blast shotgun, and then the secondary was a big lob projectile. So all these had primary, secondary fires. They were all unique. They were all very unique. And then Quake had rockets. The thing about Quake was their rockets had like air control and stuff. So when you hit people, they would go flying up into the air. And then the lightning gun had the same kind of thing where it would push people back. Railgun obviously was basically just a sniper. Grenade launcher had a bunch of skill elements as far as spamming corners and stuff like that. So all of this, like, what happened? Why is it now that every single gun in every game is just machine guns? I think you can trace it a little bit to the trend with loadouts. The idea of having starting rifles that you can pick from a list. You know, Call of Duty obviously was one that I think really popularized it. The idea of having these different guns to choose from.
Yeah.
Even Call of Duty 2 had it where you could pick whatever gun, and the snipers were obviously way above everything else back then. But so I think Call of Duty started it. Halo, again, is a good one to pick on because they weren't like that for the longest time. It used to just be you start with usually assault rifle pistol was Halo 1, and then everything else was on map. But then they went and over into the loadout system for Halo 4, and now all the guns are the same, essentially. There's so the competitive thing is DMRs, right? DMR and BR in the past.
Mm-hmm.
There's 4 guns like that in Halo 4. And they all do essentially the same kill times. There's the BR, the DMR, the light rifle, and the Covenant Carbine. They're all serving the same purpose. The same purpose. They're the same gun. So I just don't, like, it's out of necessity because for the loadout system to work, all the guns need to be balanced. Like, you need to feel like you're equally powerful to someone choosing something else.
Right.
And it sucks because really, you're not going to switch between those weapons, right? You're just going to pick one, the one probably that's 1% stronger than the other ones, in this case the DMR. You're just going to wreck shit.
Yeah.
But there's this, I feel like there's just this, this is what's frustrating me, and this is what sends me on this entire rant. I feel like there's this current design trend that the gamers should be able to play how they want. And the way that developers interpret that is, let's give them options that are slightly different from each other and let them pick from a list.
Okay.
And I argue that it's stagnating gaming, or the shooting genre at least.
So I agree. I agree on those points, but I will say there are shooters that still do have pretty unique weapons. They're just not very popular. BioShock was pretty unique stuff. Not all of it. Some of it was pretty unique.
I'd say their abilities were more unique than
the way they
weapons.
implemented it was pretty unique.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go on our game, but our game has a pretty unique twist on it because of our universe.
Right.
But in terms of how guns kind of interact, that's up for question. I mean, you might feel like the majority of them feel like a machine gun.
Yeah, I feel it. Yeah. It
But
depends entirely.
the thing that made, I think, Unreal and Quake kind of stand out is the physics involved with the games. Each of the guns carried different physics that had attributes that would alter the way play ultimately was. So none of the guns really felt similar because they all had these huge like effects. Like you hit someone with a flat cannon, the secondary, that ball, boom, that explodes, that knocks him way back. You hit him with a shock rifle, you know, the secondary, you explode the ball, that's another huge explosion knockback. You're
Yeah.
like, oh my god.
They each served a role, and
Right.
they were useful at different times.
The other thing that had was very specialized players. Like you had a very distinct set of players that could manipulate a shock rifle much better than a player that could say utilize a rocket launcher. So if you had a guy that just played the rocket launcher and he tried to switch to a sniper or a shock, like he would be like, "Oh, that's not my gun." So those guns created like specific players that had kind of like roles on the teams. I don't really feel like the games these days really do that. They want everyone to be pretty good, so they have to keep the gun design in a fashion that would be kind of familiar with people. That's one of the reasons I think Battlefield, Call of Duty are like so popular is because we live in an age where familiarity is like what I guess resonates with players, especially older gamers. Like somebody that was Nam or one of the Gulf War. They're
Doubt
like,
that's the target audience.
I don't mean that's the target audience, but I guarantee like some of those dudes play Call of Duty more so than they play like Halo or a game that has that sci-fi aspect to it because they're like, oh yeah, I'm into that, I dig that because that's real life.
See, I'll take this one step further though. I think that because games are trending towards realism and accessibility, it's leading to games with really fast kill times, and they're making it easier to get those kills. So I think that in the end, machine guns, which by nature are going to require fast kill times, for example, you wouldn't have like a long drawn out fight like you might in Quake with max armor, max health in a
Right.
Call of Duty game. That fight might take 15 seconds to resolve in Quake, but just 2 seconds or 1 second in Call of Duty. So you wouldn't have those kind of games. So I'd argue that the machine gun trend and the trend towards realism and the trend towards making the game easier is affecting the skill cap for all titles.
Well, the
In
other
the sense
thing,
that machine guns are like, there's only so much you can do with a machine gun. Like, what can you do beyond point at the guy and shoot?
the other thing you have to kind of consider is like the state of multiplayer really changes a lot of those games. Like, okay, imagine let's take hypothetically for a minute here. Imagine Quake 9 versus 9, 10 versus 10, 16 versus 16, 32 versus 32. Doesn't work. Like you can't have insane
Enemy
kill
territory,
times.
Quake Wars.
You can't. That game was a flop. Like you can't point at that game and be like, yeah, look at Quake Wars. Oh yeah. But you look at the multiplayer architecture. I don't really think this is one of the reasons I think that like the PvP aspect of Firefall kind of works versus, and maybe Tribes might be the outlier here, but you take high kill times and games like those, and you put them into a multiplayer environment, and it's like the game types might not work. The kill times might be too hard or too long for people to really get into the game. I think it's a really limited audience. I think that attracts, and obviously, I mean, you hit it right on the head. Like the easier the game is, the more accessible it is, the better it is for players. So having a gun that has 6, 7, 8 options, there's none that really have that, but we'll go with the rocket launcher from UT. 3 options.
Right.
That's too many for people to understand. It's like, oh, I can shoot the rocket this way. If I do this thing, I can shoot the rocket this way, and if I use this mode, I can bounce it off walls. So it's like,
Maybe you're saying that it's too difficult for the
average
I want
player.
to say average. I want to say like
Target audience.
the extended audience. I think might be the better term. The audience that wouldn't necessarily
play that game anyway. Yeah. So
I argue that maybe the core audience would much prefer to have more creativity in their gameplay. Yeah.
See, so where I most agree with you is that what we see here are very real world mechanics and dynamics and physics in games that have futuristic plots and stories. So that doesn't quite fit. Like, why is this gun shooting like a machine gun if we're 600 years in the future? Like,
Right.
that doesn't make sense. Like, give it some different properties. You know what I'm saying? So that's the kind of thing that I think is really missing there, is more so the creativity in the weapons. I don't think they need to be overly difficult, but
No, I'm strictly arguing for creativity. I think that
yeah.
Halo and Killzone and Resistance. I'll throw Resistance in there too. Although I think they had a couple of cool guns. Those
Resistance?
are, yeah.
I don't remember one resistance gun.
Shit. I don't know. The
And
only
we
ones I'm
played that
remembering,
game quite a bit.
only one I'm remembering right now are snipers and machine guns.
Yeah, exactly.
All three of those games are in the future with alien races, and they're essentially using machine guns and carbines.
Right.
Like,
I 100% agree with you on the lack of creativity, but
I think
I
Gears
think
is actually a title which kind of tries to bridge that gap a bit with the Digger, the torque bow.
well, yeah, they
I mean,
definitely.
they're essentially, you're still shooting. The torque bow has a bounce function, which isn't used.
But you're talking about a studio that is already entrenched in, Epic,
Right, it's from
Unreal.
years
They
ago.
have like the same guys. Like, oh, okay, well, how can we incorporate this? I mean, they still have power weapons on map. Now they
Yeah.
have the loadout system, but there's still power weapons on map. So they took one aspect of like Call of Duty with the loadouts, or Halo or Battlefield with loadouts, and they said, okay, let's put power weapons on map as well. So I mean, like I said, I agree with you. I think there's a definite lack in creativity with weapon design right now. But what are you gonna do? Like, what is it gonna be like? Okay, if we could live to see 600 years from now, and the weapons then are like fucking awesome, I bet the games then would be probably similar. So like, maybe you just need to wait
I
600
just need
years.
to live 600 years to have
Just put yourself in a cryo
That's
tank.
all I need.
Come back in 600 years, and then boom.
And then 600 years from now, I can have the rocket launcher from Prey that has a secondary fire that puts a big jelly field in front of me
Yes.
And blocks incoming projectiles.
Yes.
I just need to wait 600 years.
600 years, man.
For Prey 2. Wait, sorry, Prey 3, the multiplayer version.
Exactly. It'll be a Halo 16
Oh,
reboot.
man.
So
I feel like as long as there's loadout systems in games, we're going to have difficulty having fun weapons. I think that's the broad statement I can make. Unless you go the class-based route. But yeah, I've yet to see a class-based shooter go that route and make it work.
I still feel like loadout is creeping up on exactly what you're talking about.
It's good.
We're close.
It's good about it. I feel like a lot of the guns boil down to machine gun, sniper, or lightning gun, for example, from Quake.
There's some physics things that I think need to be incorporated, and I think we're pretty close.
And really, I just want a major AAA shooter on a console to like wisen up.
They're not, man.
Wisen up. Quit trying to copy Call of Duty.
Be original.
Be original.
I have a game idea. I'm
Make
not
a
telling
game
anybody about. I have a super original game idea. It's gonna be awesome.
You're gonna release it 600 years from now, and then
yeah, that'll be perfect actually.
Just gotta wait for the time.
Yeah. All right, so that's pretty much it on that. Skyllus he's unhappy. He's disappointed.
I get depressed talking about how
game
bad
design.
shooters have gotten over the past 10
They've
years,
just
5 years,
gotten
maybe 10 years.
They've just gotten easier, which is why we've kind of gravitated towards PC.
Not easier. They've gotten simpler.
Easier.
Simpler and easier. I'll throw both. I think that it became simpler, and by becoming simpler, it became easier.
You know what's funny?
When there's only so many aspects of a game to learn, where do you go?
Yo, you know what's funny? Even GoldenEye had original ass guns.
Yeah.
Even GoldenEye, realistic as fuck, had original ass guns.
Laptop gun. They had the tripwire mines that you could lay on the walls.
Yo, even GoldenEye was more original than people.
I think Perfect Dark had the gun which you could throw the Uzi, and then it would be a detonator mine on the ground.
Rare was killing it.
Yeah,
they were ahead of their time.
It's like why? Like that was a military shooter. It was a military shooter, and it had better weapons.
Oh man.
I think Half-Life had some. Yeah, like what the fuck? What's happening? Why are we going backwards? Why are we going backwards in how good our games are? You spend the entire game with a gun in your hand, and we're just gonna make it a fucking machine gun over and over and over. The
Man,
entire game with the
I'm
machine
gonna,
gun in your hand.
I'm gonna get you going.
Fuck.
Oh.
Next week, movement in video games.
Okay.
Oh,
All right.
fuck.
So community topic. I haven't even changed the topics here. Let me go ahead and change this. Let me get on it.
And that concludes our South by Southwest recap.
That concludes South by Southwest. Role of a beta tester. So I'm in the heat of this right now. Being in beta.
I'm beta testing like 9 games right now.
So yeah,
Beta testing.
We're beta testing a bunch of games. Yeah, I'm sure. Colin actually worked. Both of us actually worked in QA at Edge of Reality. So we know what it's actually like to be a tester. So
I've been in QA for 2 years now.
I think that's why this subject is so intriguing to me, is that working in QA and then seeing how people interpret, the average gamer interprets testing a game, probably pisses me off more than anything I've ever seen in my life. And I think it's a combination of kind of like what developers and marketing has done to beta tests or betas in general, and kind of just like gamers' perception. It's just a combination of those two things. So a couple examples I have are, all right, different ways devs use betas. Traditionally, a lot of those guys use them to test bugs, develop new features, implement those features, iterate on those features. That's pretty much how a beta should go. The player, the devs also nowadays use betas as marketing tools. All right, we're going to give 10,000 keys out. We're going to give 50,000 keys out. We're going to give 100,000 keys up. Sign up for this site. Sign up for that site. Join us on Twitter. Follow us on Facebook. Get into the beta. And there's huge marketing ramp-ups just for betas. Just for betas. Huge. Then you have the player side. You have the guy that wants to get into the game early just to see if he likes it. Or, he saw some of the marketing campaign. It's like, oh, I want to see if this tickles my fancy. Doesn't give a fuck about the beta. That really irritates me. You have the guy that plays it for a little bit, says he hates the game, tells all his friends he hates the game, tells everyone in the world that he hates the fucking game, but offers no feedback whatsoever to the devs to improve it at all, and just goes about his business, goes on to the next game. You have that person. All right? Then you have the guys that are actually good. You have the beta testers that play the beta and work and basically are extended QA. They file bug reports. They submit feedback to devs. They want that interaction with the devs. They want to know that their feedback is being heard. So there's that whole kind of ecosystem for how betas kind of go on and exist. And I think obviously, and I think most of you guys would probably kind of get this, the correct way that I feel like betas should be used, at least, especially in the initial phases. Maybe it's the first 3 months of a closed beta, 4 months, however long until the studio feels ready, is to iterate on those bugs, develop new features, basically get the game to a state that more people can come in and play and offer up feedback. All too often, it's just a big, huge marketing push. Shit's broken. Stuff isn't where it needs to be. They rush in too many people at once, and then they fuck themselves pretty much, because the majority of those players aren't interested remotely in actually being beta testers. So
for those that don't know,
probably bothers me.
For those that don't know, a game is finished usually about 3 months before the game comes out, like console games. And then from there, it's like final testing and certification, and then obviously the manufacturer printing. So games go gold. You're roughly 2 to 3 months beforehand. So if you play a beta that's anything less than 3 or 4 months, then it's a demo.
It's a demo.
Yeah. And realistically, even 6 months ahead of time, their content's already locked in stone.
Right.
Like, they're not going to be changing the game drastically unless something went horribly wrong in beta. But really, You're just tuning more so than anything else at that point. So The only true betas for me are when it comes out 6 months ahead of time or more.
In which case, it could be a closed beta or open beta, whatever they want to call it. And then after that 3 month cutoff or 6 month cutoff, they say, okay, we're out of beta. This is the final release. Now, the thing that probably irritates me more so than what the devs do on the side of marketing and stuff is that when testers get into the game, they expect, and you just hit this on the head, they expect a beta to be something more than a beta. Like, it's a beta. Unless you're playing it, again, like Skyllus said, 3 months before an open date is announced, or I consider open at this point in time in development kind of pretty close to final release, because that open, you pretty much have everything that you're going to have with maybe a few, maybe server things, trying to make up for population increases. So that whole server-side architecture is probably going to get revamped at some point before you hit final release. That's probably the gist of an open beta, in my opinion. But even before that, I mean, it's just like the expectation that I think testers have for games that they want to get into is really skewed. And I've seen this, I've seen this in our game. I've seen this on the hockey forums. I've seen this on pretty much any forum that I visit that's been in closed beta well before the game has gone open or before their public announcement. People have this really weird perception of closed betas. And to boot, they have the most non-constructive, like destructive criticism for the community, the devs, like everyone involved. It's like, why do you even want to be in the beta? Why do you want to be a beta tester if you have no feedback to offer whatsoever? Like, just wait for the game to come out. Like, that's my biggest thing. Like, wait for the game to come out if you're not going to offer up any significant input. Like, you want no involvement. Why are you even interested in the game? Why are you even interested in beta? That's like my biggest question. So my opinion, the role of beta testers, let me get to it, is to test the game, offer up feedback, submit bugs, help the devs. The end of story. And then the dev's job is to fix those bugs, fix the issues, listen to feedback, iterate new features, release a game that is enjoyable to the people that enjoy, played and enjoyed the beta. That's the developer's job.
See, I'm a bit torn because I think there's two issues here, and one is that the demos masking as betas have kind of skewed people's perception of what it means to be a tester. So you don't necessarily know sometimes if what you're testing is a demo or a actual beta, or at least very much whenever you sign up for something, it's hard to tell sometimes, especially to a more casual person who's just kind of browsing and someone's like, hey, you want into the beta for this? And it's like, sure. Because it's hard to tell sometimes if you're getting into something like, say, Battlefield's beta,
which was
or something like, which was A, broken, and B, less than a month before release.
Right.
Or if you're getting something like, I'll use Gears as an example. Their beta for Gears 3 was actually about 6-7 months ahead of time. And I think they actually took some of the feedback. So you don't know if it's something that's like that or if it's something that's more of a demo. And then additionally, I think that the expectations of what people should be giving with nothing in return is a bit, I don't know. As someone who works as a QA tester, and I obviously get paid, it's my living, it's kind of weird to say that beta testers should be doing all those things, I guess, extensively. I can see occasional reports and asking that. But
my biggest thing is just submitting bugs. Like, all you have to do is, most of the time, they have it built in.
Yeah, which is usually what I do whenever I'm in a large-scale beta test. But as far as like expecting tons of activity and effort from beta testers, I'm not sure if that's founded. And sometimes developers use beta tests as a replacement for the QA staff, in a sense of, it's like, hey, we can just get all these reports from millions of players. And I don't know if I agree with that. I don't know.
That's what I said. It's
MMOs tend to do. It's something that MMOs like to do. Is it's just like, let's release a broken beta and then just let people submit bugs.
It's both the developers and the publishers that go out and say, all right, well, is this going to be a beta or is this going to be a demo? Let's slap a beta on it. That way people won't be as upset. But this is really a demo. Nothing's going to change from this over to the game.
Right.
That's one thing. You mentioned that. That's the developers and the publishers' fault. But then the beta testers, every single beta that I've been into, except for maybe 2, I've at least filed 1 bug. There's players that don't do that. You know what I mean? There's players that play at one time, don't submit any feedback, and they're just like, fuck this game. This is not for me. And it's like, well, why did you even want in the game in the first place? Why did you sit there, email, and say, like, at least be like, okay, I don't like this game. I'm not going to play it because, it sucks. That's better than just leaving, in my opinion. That's at least feedback.
Yeah, that's actually what I did. Recently, I got into a beta for a MMO, or say MOBA, which is in closed beta currently, and I just kind of left feedback. I played like 2 games, didn't like it at all, and I just left 1 paragraph of feedback like, hey, I didn't like it all, this is why, and then I never played it again.
Yeah. I mean, that is at least, that's acceptable. But I feel like because of your, and my history, knowing how it is in QA and like seeing people's feedback, it's like, ugh, that's disgusting. I don't like that at all. So I saw some people kind of agree. A lot of people say, they want to see it better from what I've seen, and feeling like, you want to go into a beta and offer up some feedback. I think the other thing that I guess kind of maybe I'm not elaborating enough is like developers have, I feel like, a priority. They should have a priority to make the beta testers, especially the active ones, feel like they are contributing to the game. And I don't know if that's happening enough.
Right, which is why specifically I kind of banged on the MMO guys whenever they release betas. It's usually just a wave of bug reports and then that's it.
Yep.
Like there's not much interaction during the beta. It's more just everyone's heads down working on stuff. So it's not really, I don't know. Then you look at games like League of Legends was in open beta for, I think, a year and a half, 2 years before it finally went public. And during that whole time, they're doing patches and balance changes. I think that's the correct way to handle an open beta.
Yeah.
Closed beta, I don't know. I like them when they're small scale. That's when it seems like stuff actually gets done. When it's large scale, it's really just a marketing effort to get a player base in place early, is the impression that I get from a lot of these games.
Yeah, it's just marketing. I'd say 9 out of 10 studios now are probably doing it as marketing.
Yeah. So I can completely understand from the point of view of someone who signs up for a ton of betas. Like I said earlier, I'm playing like 9 betas currently, but 7 of them are basically complete games. So I can see the confusion from beta testers as far as what their role is supposed to be.
Right. So that's my spiel. I get kind of fired up about that because, again, I work in the industry, so I'm kind of slighted at seeing some of the things just propagated across the internets on feedback on betas specifically. And I feel like, here, I'm gonna end on this. Sometimes developers just need to scrap the beta tag and go alpha. Because there's a couple of studios,
I'm not sure why studios don't do that more.
That are clearly not in a beta state. They're in an alpha state, and they have a limited population.
You guys in alpha state when you first did the...
Yeah, we admitted to that.
Even now, it's kind of like early beta, I guess, if I was looking at it.
Yeah, I think our fire
smoke
alarm is going off.
Uh-oh. Mute your mic and I'll segue into Gears.
Yeah. I heard Chrissy saying, help. Oh, she got it.
Okay.
All right.
So yeah, the big thing that Epic announced this weekend at South by Southwest was the inclusion of the Reaper program, which is going to be a special skin that's worn by 1 community member each week. And it was kind of vague, as if they would do 1 NA and 1 like European or rest of the world. For now, it sounds like it's just 1 per week.
1 per week.
And then killing them will get you armor skins and a weapon skin. Is that right?
And a medal.
And a medal for your characters. And they're going to choose people from the community based on contribution. They're taking nominations now, and then they'll just do a kind of read through and pick out some of the top contributors to the community. And the skin itself is like a floating Reaper, so it's really easy to pick out from a crowd.
Hey,
Thoughts?
it's cool. I think that there's a lot of people that would definitely uh, gonna get nominated. I think some of the questions that I kind of have um, are like the exclusivity of it. It's like,
It's really exclusive.
yeah, people
It's
like
about
I
as
got a few
exclusive as it
tweets.
gets.
I got a couple of tweets from people like, hey, if you get nominated or if such and such gets nominated, they need to host a private server so I can kill them to get the medal. And so I was kind of like, man, is it going to be
Fuck
like
that.
that? Like you're going to see the Reaper and then you're going to go like ape shit and just try to dominate them.
I'd be trying to rack up my KD as the Reaper.
Yeah, I mean, because the Reaper's supposed to have special abilities, and I think I don't know. I didn't actually listen to that part of the panel, but I believe they can teleport to cover.
I'm not sure.
So
I don't think
that's
they've
what
said
I've
anything.
heard.
I know they did say that it floats
I've heard.
kind of off the ground. It's kind of hard to tell how it's straighting because it's floating.
Yeah, that's
He's
what I heard.
racking up that KD.
Teleport to cover. I think the biggest thing that we've kind of chuckled about is the people that are like me, vote for me, nominate me. I'm gonna be the shit. You nominate me first week. I can't wait to do it. Oh yeah,
Campaign mode.
here's Reaper, and it's like, man,
Dropping that super pack money. Yeah, signs up.
and you know, I've kind of thrown out like some people that I would like to see nominated, and Brutality's one of them. I think Ocelot would be a good choice. A lot of the people that went to the playtest would be good choices, other than the people that were, you know, like Nexi's not really involved in the competitive gear or Gears community at all, and then Hastro is not really in the Gears community. But you know, the rest of those guys were all Gears heads, and at some form or another, they probably contributed to Gears at some point in their careers playing the game. But you know, when I'm looking at this, I'm really looking at people that are on the forums, some of the epic gamers that were chosen, just people that are actually trying to help people. I don't look at people that are like creating troll videos on YouTube as like being a contribution to the community. So, you know, a lot of those people blaring, you know, yelling at the top of their lungs, vote for
Yeah.
me, are kind of. I mean, I think it's a little obnoxious,
Oh, it's
but
entirely obnoxious. I actually saw Polygon posted about it, and they posted to the like link on the page, and one of the top comment or the only comment was the comments page on that blog post are the reasons I don't play Gears. Like that community was their
so
statement, and
yeah.
it was
I
like
mean,
it looked really bad. It's like, yeah, I think it's a good purpose. I think that once everything's died down, it'll probably have a really good role in being able to highlight people's achievements
oh yeah,
and also direct people to cool content that they might not have otherwise have noticed. Since I imagine they'll be posting like a blog post up each week with who the Reaper is and what they do, kind of deal. So
that'd be really cool.
it's
I
good.
wonder how they're going to broadcast that in game, like who's the Reaper, if it's actually going to show in the game. That'd be a pretty cool feature to
Oh
have
man,
in
you get
game.
bombarded with messages.
Messages, yeah, I know. That's one thing that I was thinking about. It's like, man, whoever's the Reaper is going to get hit up with messages like, host up a private server, or hey, I'm in Europe. Can you be on at such and such time?
The good
So,
news is that playing quick match, you never have to worry about bots because people would just be popping into your game instantly.
yeah, I guess that is a pretty good thing.
A full game all the time.
So, I mean, I really like the idea. That's really awesome that they're going to be able to do that with this game.
I don't think I've heard of any company doing something like that. I can't think of anything that comes to mind as far as like someone or even
What are you
community
talking
members
about,
having
dude?
like special privileges.
What are you talking about? Says the guy who got recon armor before anyone else ever.
Oh yeah, shit. That's a good point.
What are you talking about?
I did have recon armor in Halo 3,
And then your account got stolen.
but I deserved it.
You sniped your own head off. What are you talking about?
I forgot about that. I didn't really have used that as much as I could have, because I'm not a Halo guy. No, I'm not even a Halo guy in the slightest.
It's the guys who has recon armor. It's like, I've never seen that in any game before.
They definitely didn't give any rewards for killing me,
No, they didn't.
which is good because no one would have ever gotten a reward, which would have sucked.
What? Because you didn't play?
Because I didn't. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's pretty awesome. I will say Bungie did do that. As
I can't think of
studio
anyone
that
else though.
I don't know anybody else that's done it, especially on console. So that's pretty cool that they're doing it. It's a extension of their Epic Gamer program, which I talked about. I actually made a thread on the Epic Games forums saying that they needed to revamp their site a little bit because right now it's just a static blog page. And if you actually look at sites like League of Legends, PlanetSide, or whoever, they're usually highlighting people in the community. They're showing Twitch channels, they're showing YouTube channels, they're showing popular personalities, people that are contributing. And Epic doesn't really do that other than the Epic Games forums, which is like again these static threads, whereas those are like once you go to their community page, like you see everyone there and they're always there, and they don't get bumped down. So this is just going to be something that's pretty cool. I don't know. You think they'll promote the players outside of that? Like, hey, such and such is the Gears Reaper. They are the Reaper because XYZ. They like to make Gears of War action figures out of clay with their bare hands.
I imagine that's what they'll do. I think it'll just be a blog post saying, "Your Reaper this week is so and so. They did this. They they campaigned and had hundreds of their people vote, nominate them in the thread."
Yeah, I don't know. Did you see someone said talk about maps?
Yeah,
you tell them you failed.
Maps, right?
No, tell them you failed this week. Tell them. So you can say you didn't have
they're
time.
talking about Gears Judgment maps.
Oh, Gears Judgment maps. Oh, okay. I only saw the maps. All right, so
yeah.
I mean that pretty much wraps it up for the show. Other than that, I mean we could talk a little bit more about Gears of War Judgment. We only have a week until the game comes out. Skyllus and I have lots of plans for content.
Yeah, actually, it's gonna be hard balancing content and actually getting to play.
Yeah, with content and then all the things that we are doing with other games, it's going to be interesting to kind of buckle down and play. We might have a team announcement, player announcement here pretty soon. I got to talk to the guys about some stuff. So that'll be some interesting news for us. I actually talked to XL today. He was saying that he wanted to play some Judgment. So something good. Competitive overrun. On the 15th, by the way, if you guys order at GameStop, you get access to it. I don't know how many of you guys have actually pre-ordered. I hope everyone that's in the chat right now is actually pre-ordered, and they're going to be playing some Overrun on Friday.
Might be off work on Friday.
Yeah, I might.
No, I mean I might actually be off work on Friday.
No, I'm gonna. I'm sick. Oh.
It's our spring break. It's just Friday.
That's it. So, questions you guys got for us?
Someone said I may be wrong, but I think it's just one guest Reaper at a time. I believe that's right. I think Epic employees always have access to the Reaper scan if they want to throw it on.
Ah.
But that said, I think that Heat was really the only person that continually kept on playing post-launch.
Rack didn't play a whole lot.
People played for like a month or so.
Stacy plays every once in a while, but she's like, she'll play Unreal more than she'll play Gears.
Yep.
That's why I love Flag. 4 maps. Talk about only 4 maps in normal PvP. I think we talked about the maps in a previous episode.
We talked about the maps we played.
Which were...
Technically, they haven't confirmed there's only 4 maps. So we can't talk about it.
We can't talk about any of those maps.
Definitely be talking about them on Tuesday, though. Next Tuesday. Actually, the game comes out on Tuesday. Are we doing the show and then going to GameStop?
What do you mean? It comes out on Monday night, dude. Midnight.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So we'll have...
Man, you are killing me today. You're killing me.
I'm barely going to get to play, though. I'm going to come off work and have barely played the game.
You're killing... I'm going to take off Tuesday, too. I got to work on my cough.
Yeah, I was just saying, you're not going to take off like that.
Let me see. Why isn't the game coming to PC? Blow up on Steam Workshop. Man, there's so many things with that. I don't know.
What are the dog tags from the new article? I think they're sending people actual physical dog tags. They actually had them in the pictures from the Gears launch event. The guys had them on.
If you pre-ordered and you didn't get your code, I would ask GameStop. I had a lot of people ask that. I don't actually know the process. Um, I'm waiting myself. I think you just show up. I don't know. I don't know, to be honest. Maybe it's on the receipt. I have no idea. I'm gonna go back though on Thursday and check. Uh, Someone says, "Of course you're doing the show." We're not skipping out on the show. Of course you're doing that show. Uh,
Probably be playing while we're doing the show. Just let you talk.
we'll just show over. It'll just be an overrun stream while we're talking. So this is overrun. It's loadout out of beta. No, we're still currently in closed beta. We just released our new build today with starter packs, which should start ramp up, which means that we'll start really pumping out keys for closed beta. We're looking to go open beta here really soon.
Someone said they're emailing out codes tomorrow for the thing.
Opinion on constant reticle on Judgment. It kind of pisses me off that people get upset about it because some of the hardest games ever, shooter-wise, have on-screen reticles, and it doesn't matter.
All of them, actually.
All of them. Okay, we'll go ahead and say all of them. And if you look at those games and you say and you think that somehow they're going to magically make the people that aren't very skilled that much better, no. The people that have been playing day in, day out, that practice all the time, are going to continually whoop them.
And it's not going to make it any easier for them either.
It's not any easier.
We already knew where the fucking middle of the screen was.
So I think that's my biggest issue with people that are all upset about the constant crosshair. How deep is customizing the skins? Can't talk about it. Sorry.
They showed some screenshots. They look pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's all I got. Doing active reload.
I have active reload tomorrow.
Are you gonna be doing it?
Yeah.
Nice.
I have active reload. 9 o'clock. By the way, guys, active reload is Kenny's show. That's Cream's show. That's not my show. A lot of people get that confused.
And it's different from this show.
It's completely different from this show.
Obviously, we talk about everything here. Active reload is Gears focused. And I hope that you guys, even if you're Gears fans, also want to learn more about gaming and the competitive scene. So,
you guys can hear my daughter. She lasted the whole show. How did you become the community manager at Edge of Reality? Combination of working there, building up a lot of social media stuff, and getting the opportunity to go to PAX East last year, which my QA lead, well, he's actually head of QA. I kept telling him that I wanted to get out of QA. Obviously, my skill set wasn't like quite for QA, and they recognized that immediately. And so he sent me out to be like the QA person at PAX East. You know, if anything went wrong, I was the guy that had to fix stuff. But what ended up happening was our creative director was there, our brand manager was there, our lead designer was there, and those three got all these people that were coming up to our booth like, hey, it's Arctic. Hey, it's Arctic. Hey, you know, I know you. And so they were like, oh, man, you know, he's pretty popular in the community. This would be a good opportunity for us to, you know, get more people in. And that's pretty much how it worked. And that's, I mean, I think this is kind of understated. Maybe I don't know if it's understated. I think if you're in the industry, you kind of know. If you get into the industry, and if you work in QA or something like that, that's usually a ticket to somewhere else in the studio, whether it be production, design, programming. So, you know, I've always wanted to do community management. I saw Taylor's question. He's asked it a couple times. Arctic last show, I told you I had 101 subs. I now have 209. But my question is, are you guys recruiting for your team for Dog J? We actually don't we don't recruit, like we don't have like an application process. We're invite only. So like we seek people and, you know, we kind of talk to them. We have a really, Skyllus can tell you, who was the last person we recruited, Colin? Alex? Wasn't Alex.
Dan, I think.
Dan? You want to?
That was beginning of Gears. I think Alex might have been after Dan.
I think Alex was
Whichever
after
one
me.
was first would take offense to being in this discussion at all.
Yeah, I know. I was not last. Uh,
They were within like 2 months of each other, though.
so I can tell you, like, our recruiting process back in the day,
And that
when
was
we actually
07.
took
Yeah.
applications, was really vigorous. Like, you had to really like be committed to it, and that's kind of what we wanted. We had like a 6-month process.
This is kind of bullshit.
No, it was fantastic, and we tested people across multiple games.
Yeah, I had to try out across 4 games.
So
I whooped them in all of them.
no, that is not true. Me and you used to go toe to toe, battle to battle in Battlefield.
I had you guys in Battlefield.
Oh, if I hopped in the chopper, it was a done deal.
You had me in Call of Duty.
Yeah.
And then Prey was about even until I learned the button glitch, and then.
But yeah, so I mean, our big thing has always been multi gaming. So like, let's say you get a judgment, but you can't pick up a PC like mouse and keyboard, and you can't play PC for shit. Like, honestly, we're probably not going to be interested. It's just, and it's rare to find players like that, which is one of the things that we've really tried to make a big point is being able to pick up any game and play it. Colin and I are not good at fighting games, so it's the one area where we kind of struggle. But other than that, we're pretty good at all games.
Looks like we're good.
Is that about it?
I think so. There you go, right on cue.
Yeah, I'm right on cue. All right, guys. So you heard the lady, the woman. Yeah, we're wrapping up, guys, and I hope you guys enjoyed episode 6. We'll be back next week. Have some Gears Judgment.
Gears Judgment centric episode.
Yeah, so should be sweet, man. Looking forward to it. I'll catch you guys later.
Later, guys.